If you don't use this or this, and you get to the point where you're building carbon in the engine, which is going to, it's going to kill your fuel economy, and it's going to put wear and tear on the engine. But there's also this stuff here, which is Yamaha internal engine cleaner, and this stuff is outstanding. What's going on, everybody? We've been asked a lot about what kind of greases and oils and stuff that we use on a daily basis. So today we are going to be talking all about the basic stuff that we keep on hand and use every day when it comes to working on outboards here in the shop. Now, in general, I mainly just use this or this, and most of the time I'm only using this. This stuff is Edmund Johnson triple guard grease, which is probably the best grease ever in my opinion. I mean, Mercury's 24C is good. That's now become this high performance extreme grease, which is Mercury stuff. That's really good. Yamaha's grease, that tube's almost done, but it starts out looking like this. Yamaha Lube lubricant marine grease. This stuff is really good too, but in general, this is what I use pretty much all the time. It's just great stuff. It holds on, never will have any issues. It also depends on what we're putting it on. So like this stuff here, this super lube stuff, this clear stuff, a lot of people like to put this on their reels. It's good stuff. It's pretty thin. It's not as thick as this. That's super thick, so it holds on real good, really good for prop shafts and just any bolt in general, water pumps. Then this stuff right here is the grease that we'll use for other things. This Molly Lube, this is what we'll use for steering cables and steering components, throttle control boxes, shift and throttle cables, things that need a nice thick pasty but really lubricating oil or grease. That's what I'll use this stuff for. It's really good when it comes to your shifting control boxes and stuff like that. And those are pretty much all the greases that we'll go through. Let's talk about some corrosion stuff here. Dry silicone. This stuff here is phenomenal. Rust and corrosion protection, waterproof lubrication. This is really good stuff. When it comes to the engine though, you can use this heavy duty silicone, or probably the best in my opinion is the Shield from Yamaha. This is awesome stuff. I'll usually use this. This is more like the backup. This is like the go-to for the engine, and then this is what I'll mainly use when it comes to tools and blades and stuff like that. So like I'll put this into my impact, put this on blades, table saws, tools, stuff like that. And then there's this Alumiguard, which is some good stuff. This is for aluminum and other metals. This with Colonite. Colonite's probably the best cleaner. It's got really good wax as well. And then this is probably second to it, the Alumiguard. When it comes to your fogging oil for fogging, storing, winterization, and summerization down here, really it's whatever you can kind of get your hands on. If you want to use some CRC, Stable, Starbright, Yamaha Lube, I mean, they're all pretty much the same thing. I'm sure there's a lot of differences, but the biggest thing is that it just fogs the engine and lubricates all the valves and all the internal parts of the engine, coats the crankshafts, your pistons, your rings, and everything with oil, so that way when you store it, they stay protected. Fogging oil is fogging oil in my opinion. And the biggest thing is that you do it and it'll work great to help store your engine and make it easy when it comes to get it back out of storage. Now for engine tuners, these are really good. Power Tune or Johnson Evinrude engine tuner. This is probably going away, obviously, because Evinrude's going away, but power tune, great stuff. Used to remove performance robbing carbon buildup from the combustion chamber. Using all 2 and 4 cycle carbureted and fuel injected gasoline engines. It's good stuff. This is the same stuff. This is really good for beating carbon, but that's once you get to, this is like the second stage of having to work on something that's got an issue. Before you get to having to use your power tune, your engine tuner, I would probably start by using either Ring Free or Quick Clean. Both of these are really good products. They help to clean out the engine, and it's just a fuel additive. You just put it in your fuel, burn it through the engine. It helps to take all the carbon and stuff off of the rings and clean the internals of the engine, which is way easier to just put this in the fuel than it is to start tearing stuff down and using Quick Clean and Power Tune to run the engine, try and decarbon it up. This is going to be what you want to use before, but if you don't use this or this and you get to the point where you're building carbon in the engine, which is going to, it's going to kill your fuel economy, and it's going to put wear and tear on the engine. But there's also this stuff here, which is Yamaha Internal Engine Cleaner, and this stuff is outstanding. It just, if there's carbon in the engine, this will clean it out. The only thing is that you can't buy this. This product is intended for use only by authorized Yamaha dealers. So this can't be sold to the general public. So you've got to be a Yamaha dealer in order to get your hands on it. But this is the stuff that they call it yick. That'll clean out any carbon that you have in the engine. Let's move on and talk about some degreasers and cleaners. This is probably the stuff I use the most. Yamaha's maintenance brake and contact cleaner. This is great stuff. Pretty much use it for cleaning anything. Dries real quick, but that'll clean anything. This stuff is really good too, but I think this is a little bit more expensive than the brake and contact cleaner, so I'll use the Yamaha brake and contact cleaner more often than I do the cleaner and degreaser. But both of these work really good for cleaning out stuff if you're working on lower units or pretty much anything. Having some of this stuff to clean off parts is a must. Battery terminal protector, that's good stuff for just spraying on your battery terminals to protect them from the elements over time. Here you got Yamaha regular Gearcase lubricant, and then you've got Yamaha Marine Gearcase Lube HD, which a lot of people are kind of mix this stuff up and don't really know what you can and can't use that for, when really what it is, the easiest way that I've found to figure out which Gearcase lube you're supposed to use is basically anything that takes an N26 oil filter gets the HD, anything else gets the regular lube, which they say in here specifically formulated for use in 5.6 liter, 5.3 liter, as well as 4.2 liter offshore or VMAX show 200 to 250 gear cases. Not recommended for use in any other Yamaha outboard than just your regular gear case. It's kind of funny because some of the manuals, they will say that some of the 4.2 liters can use the regular gear case lube, and this is where it gets kind of funny, because you got the oil filter in N26 13440, that's the N26, but then you come over here to your fuel and oil for the F300 2011 to current 4.2 liter recommended gear oil, Yamalube Marine Gearcase lubricant, which this can just get confusing without knowing what model you have, to what Gearcase lube to put in there. It can get kind of confusing, and so basically just going off of what model you should have. Whereas whenever we come over here and start talking about Mercury, they've just got one, this high performance gear lube. Mercury uses this stuff in pretty much all of them. Doesn't matter what engine you're working with, unless you start working on racing stuff, then that can get into some different stuff. Trim fluids, pretty much anything trim. You're going to want to get yourself a ketchup bottle to put your trim fluid in, but it's going to be any of this Dexron 3 ATF automatic transmission fluid. Unless you're working on brand new stuff, then I would recommend using this regular C-Star or clear hydraulic fluid compared to the red stuff. So this is just your regular ATF. This stuff's like $5 a bottle. This stuff's like $20 to $25 a bottle. So, you know, if it's an older system, I just use the ATF. If it's a brand new system, go ahead and put the clear stuff in it. Keep clear, and then if it's dirty, use the regular ATF. Power tilt and trim unit is 2.7. So we're gonna come over here. See, power tilt and trim unit, fluid type, ATF Dexron 2, which is Dexron 3. I wouldn't get too wild. Those are just for the F-115. So that's what you can use, is the Dexron 3. Greases for doing your grease guns. And a lot of times, again, using the triple guard grease, just great stuff. And that's what we put in the grease gun. Also use this stuff too. It's the same thing. Lubricant, marine grease. It's the same grease. We'll put that in the grease guns. PB blaster, just your normal good penetrating oil. We'll also use WD-40 or, you know, some other stuff. So liquid wrench has got some good stuff. Probably the best stuff is going to be Kroll, and then just some other stuff. Some of the sealants here. We got some sealants. Elastomeric. So elastomeric is pretty much what you're going to want to use for anything that's going to be for anything really, for use on fiberglass, metal, plastics, wood, and glass. This will pretty much stick to anything, whereas like your boat life, that's going to mainly only be used for fiberglass and use above or below waterline. 3M 4200, Fast Cure 4200. This stuff is what we use for pretty much everything that needs a serious adhesive, including mounting engines or anything else that needs to be a permanent seal. We use the 4200 over the 5200 because this stuff comes out thicker than 5200. 5200 runs a lot easier, so it's a lot sloppier. It is a stronger hold, but this just is easier to work with compared to 5200. This release, solvent release, this is basically like acetone. It's really good for cleaning stuff up. Wire lube, these are great. Wire aid for running cables through the boat, premium, just any kind of wire glide or Rite Aid. Aluminum anti-seize lubricant. These are good for spark plugs and stuff like that you want anti-seize. I don't use this stuff on bolts, I just use it on spark plugs. You don't want, but this stuff is dirty. If you get it on this and you get this on something, it goes on everything, and it just spreads like wildfire. It's hard to clean off, so that's why I don't use a lot of it. That's why you gotta have something like this. This is awesome, cheap. Get it from the dollar store. It's a degreaser. It's not supposed to be blue. I don't know what's in this bottle, but all the other bottles that I have are all worn off, so you can't see the labels on them. That's why I show you this one. And totally awesome. It's a dollar store. Works great for cleaning stuff up. Liquid electrical tape. This is great for putting on terminals on the engine for your electrical grounds and stuff like that. Keep you from corroding up. That's really good stuff. This here, again, Johnson Evinrude gasket sealing compound. Now this stuff is phenomenal for putting on to O-ring seals, stuff like that. We'll use this. This is starting to get sticky. It's getting dried out and sticky. But this is what we use for putting on different seals, lower unit seals, drain seals, or not drain seals, but lower unit drive shaft seals and prop shaft seals. That's good stuff for that. And this isn't something else that's good to have on hand, is this West System G5 5-minute adhesive. This is just a 2-part adhesive. You got your hardener, you got your resin. It's basically like an epoxy resin, but it's an adhesive. It's not to be used under the waterline or places that get super wet, but it's really good for patching a quick hole and being able to put new screws in, stuff like that, and cover up holes to keep from rot and other stuff like that. That's just some good stuff to have. And I'll put a link in the description that will include the part number for most of this stuff so you can get whatever you need. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. You can visit us at bornagainboating.com for more super helpful content for all of your boating needs. Thank you all for hanging out with us this week, and we look forward to seeing you next week.